Anthony Pica. This show is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all the crazy things that I seem to step on. The 26th of March. Thank you guys for being with me. We are almost done, almost into April. Quarter one is almost finished. Real quick, before we move any further, I gave myself a note to make sure that I ask for you to hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification button, because I think I usually wait till the end of the show, and what I realize as the show goes on and everything, not everybody gets to the end. So if I work on now making sure I tell you up front, please hit that follow button. I will hopefully get more people to hit that follow button and the subscribe button. So thank you guys so much, as always, for being here on Fiverr Friday. Today, I'm excited about the topic. We're going to be talking about everything buyer requests and getting work. I think, Fiverr is one of those places where you put up your gigs, you do the best that you can to be as professional as possible with the best thumbnails. We've gone over that a lot through these videos, but we don't talk a lot about after you do that, after you've got everything up, after you've put up as many gigs as you possibly can. What do you do from there? Like, what do you do to get work if the work's not coming in as fast as you want to? So, we're going to talk about buyer requests today, and this is the one place on Fiverr that you can go to actually try to get business, right? So basically, what buyer's request is, it's a section on Fiverr. Basically, in the upper ribbon on your profile, there's a top ribbon. You go to the right, there's all the way to the right of that ribbon, there is a more button. You click that more button and it drops down, and then basically there's a bunch of different tabs you can hit. One of them is buyer requests. And that takes you to a separate window which shows you buyers who have placed requests for proposals on a job that they have. And they leave a description, they leave a budget, and you have the capability to send up to 10 offers to these people a day. Fiverr allots you 10. It's the only place that I know that, that is on Fiverr specifically to match buyers with sellers directly, as opposed to, or not directly, but other than the gigs. Does that make sense? And it gives you the option to do something on a daily basis, as opposed to once you put up your gigs, honestly, yes, we can work on making them better. We can always improve. But the reality is Fiverr does become a set it, and we don't want to forget it, but kind of set it and wait. You know what I mean? I mean, we could tweak here or there, but I see some people over tweaking like 3-4 times a day or something, and that's not going to work. You got to try something and let it sit for a little bit. Let it sit for a week or two, to see if you get some business, and then you can move it. But the buyer's requests can be a tricky place, and it changes, especially with the levels you were at. So let's kind of go over the buyer's request today and talk about what you can do, I think, to set yourself apart from everybody else. So first off, buyer's requests really are a place where people come, buyers that either can't find work, like a specific gig that they're looking for, or they want to get a sampling of work that they can listen to, as opposed to them going to listen to a whole bunch that they, may not want to go through. I mean, let's be honest, there's over 24,000 gigs in voiceover on Fiverr alone, so, that's a massive amount. So anyways, when they go to the buyer's request, they will post their job, and there will be a time period that they are allowed to accept offers. They can set that time, whether it's 24 hours, whether it's 3 days. They can set the amount of time that they'll accept offers. And at any time, they can view all those offers and, you know what I mean, they will make a determination. But that is that's the part on their end. But I think one of the cool thing is, and before I dive into some actual things, is that now I don't recommend you do this unless you're serious about buying something. But it's not a bad idea, I think, to try it out. You know, I always believe in buying a product. Like if you haven't bought anything on Fiverr yet, it's a good idea to try something out on Fiverr. You know, buy something, okay, so that you know how the process works. Same with buyer's requests. If you're going to go on there and you're going to, you know, put up or send offers to buyers, it's a good idea for you to put up your own request and see how it works. So what happens on the back end, or if you're a buyer, is that as the offers come into you, there's a page, and it's literally like one seller after another. It shows their profile pic. Again, this is so important that you get a really fantastic thumbnail, because it shows the thumbnail of you. All right, which the more professional it is, the more professional you look to them and everything. Then there is about 2 to 4 sentences above the fold, if you will, okay, before they have to click to read more. So those first 2 to 4 sentences you write in your description when you're sending an offer are really, really important, okay? And that is probably one of the most under talked about things that I know, from me at least, that I don't talk a lot about this. So I'm glad we're going over this today. So there's the first 2 to 4 sentences, and by the way, you know, as I know, if you go on there regularly, I mean, there are tons where we're all trying to get work, so they're going to get lots of offers. So you've got to make sure that, you know, all these things I'm telling you, you're paying attention to, and you're doing it better than everybody else. So those first 2 to 4 sentences that you write in your description need to be to the point. All right, they need to speak to what they are, their description, like what they're asking for. So this is another big mistake I see people make, and this will help you get more business through the buyer's requests. Always allude to what they are selling or what they're asking you to do. Does that make sense? Like, put something in your description that they will recognize as that, oh, they read my description. Do you see what I'm talking about? So if they're asking for a voiceover to do a car spot, you know, for Toyota, I'm just making this up, okay, then, you know, you better write down in your description, you know, hey, I love doing car spots, and, you know, I have a Toyota down the road. I know it might sound corny to you, but the point is that sets you apart, and I'll tell you why. Because most people just send blanket requests without actually adding anything in it that shows that you are a real person. You're looking, like, you're reading what they're doing. And you have to think, right? Because just like 24,000 plus gigs on Fiverr for voiceover, when you have that much stuff, you have to narrow stuff down. Not everybody wants to listen to 30, 40, 50, 60 auditions. Okay, or read. It's worse to read all of that, right? Because, you know, it's actually on buyer's request, you can't audition. There's a little side note. If ever you go to buyer's request and there's a buyer, that is asking for an audition, you can't attach a file. Okay, some people will tell you can put links in there. I really recommend against that. Okay, unless it's linking to your Fiverr gig. But what Fiverr's done is, as soon as they click on that, you can the buyer can actually click on your profile and go and listen to your stuff. Okay, so they can do that already. But don't put links to other places. At least that's my personal opinion. Now, because you don't want them to leave Fiverr. Right, you don't want them to get away from what they're doing with you anyways. And I think Fiverr allows some links, but I just don't do it at all. You want them to stay there on Fiverr to buy from you. All right, so the next thing is that as they look at that, they're gonna, you want to set yourself apart, because they're not going to, like I was saying, they're not going to be looking at all of that stuff. So they're going to look through those 2 to 4 sentences at the top, and you are going to have to grab their attention. The best way to grab their attention is to mention what they're talking about, because they're going to see like they're going to see all sorts of things that some are not even going to relate to them. Some are going to be different people, which, I recommend. Okay. But they're not going to want to read through all of them. There might be some, but I know even when I put stuff up and I'm looking for services, I don't want to read through all of them. I pick the ones that look like they actually spend a little bit of time paying attention to what I said. Okay. So make sure that description, like I said, above the fold, those 2 to 4 sentences really speak to what they're asking for. Then as you go through, right, make sure, I always like to give them something enticing, right? Whether it's, you're offering a special, you're offering something. Remember, you're going to buyer's request to get jobs, to drum up some business, right? To find work, So I always try to entice with a special. And remember, it's your business. You can run a special anytime you want. Now, not everybody has it, but Fiverr has released a new program called coupons that they're just beta testing it with some people. I think I have that capability, but basically it might come out later where everybody can use it. You can offer clients coupons if they buy from you, like a couple, 5-10% off or something. But anyways, that's just something I don't think I've mentioned before. But you're going to want to make sure that, you set the price. And here's a little tip about price. A lot of times on the buyer's requests, the prices are, they can be small, they can be large, they can be all sorts of things. But, if you want to charge your price, even if that's not the price they've put. Okay. Does that mean people might underbid you? Yeah. But I'm one of those people who believes, listen, put yourself out there, let them listen to you. And at least you're getting in front of people. And here's another little tip too, about buyer's requests. As you're submitting buyer's requests, offers, remember, just because that person might not buy from you that day or on that particular gig, all right, they might refer you to someone else. They might come back and buy from you a month later. Okay, that's why this is important, not just for instant sales. I think we all want that instant gratification. I know I do, right? I want to submit something and then somebody contacts me and be like, yes, it's working, right? But that's not really how it works. You know what I mean? It takes time. So you have to keep doing this over and over and over again. This is a daily thing. Some of these tasks we do are like tasks that need to be done for the rest of our business career. Does that make sense? So, you need to really, really get into the mindset of just continuing to do this. All right. So you're submitting these buyer requests. And, we've talked about prices. We talked about your description, making sure you're mentioning something about what they're asking you for. Okay. You're telling them about maybe a special or a deal to entice them to go with you. You have a very professional headshot. There is, remember, don't be afraid to add the different things to your offer as well, like commercial rights, broadcast rights. Make that a part of the deal. Right? Maybe instead of you offering a percentage off, you offer free commercial rights. I mean, a lot of people when we're just starting out don't even charge commercial rights. So it's a great way to offer an incentive. The goal here is not, and I want to point out something. The goal here is you're starting somewhere, right? You're starting somewhere. You got to start somewhere. It's not where you want to end up. You're probably not going to be charging these prices a year or 2 years down the road, but you got to start somewhere. And the people who are on here also have to start somewhere, and they're trying their best too to work on maybe a shoestring budget as well. So remember, a lot of what I did in the early days is try to drum up business, offer great service, and build relationships and get reviews. Right, and make a little bit of money. But it wasn't a massive money maker until I built up enough clientele and I built up my business to where I was getting more business down the road. Does that make sense? So you got to start somewhere. All right. Now, at this point that you've been sending these things, there's some other things that we need to talk about. If you are just starting out on Fiverr, you're not going to see a great deal of and Fiverr changed this. It didn't used to be this way, but Fiverr doesn't. If you're like a level 0, you're not level 1 yet. You don't get to see all of the buyer's requests yet. You might get to see 5 or 10 a day max. Okay, and a lot of them will not even be related to you. I mean, they'll be like, I need someone who speaks a different language, you know what I mean? Or, they might be someone of the opposite sex or something like right there. I mean, it could be all sorts of different things that have nothing to do with you. I've always been a big advocate of, spreading the word of what I do wherever I go, whatever, just so that everyone is aware that as much as possible of the services I offer, voiceovers, you know what I mean? So I've always been a big advocate for, even if someone is not asking for what you're doing, okay, to reach out to them. But here's the point. I think it can be done, though, professionally and classy, too. Okay, so, and then if someone is specifically asking you not to reach out to them unless it's specifically this person, then, that's okay. Don't reach out to them. But most of the time, you know what I mean? I've had so many occasions, so many, you guys, where people have reached out to other people and that we're not asking for them, their specific type of either whether it's like male or female or even their accent or something, and then they liked them what they were doing so much they decided to work with them on the project instead of what they were originally looking for because they just didn't know what they were looking for. Okay, so don't ever not submit something because you think that it could be. Also, just because they're not looking for you doesn't mean there's not someone else they know that's looking for you. Okay, or they might look for you down the road. These are people actively looking for voiceovers. Okay, now, at this point, once you move up to level 1, you're going to see more and more jobs available to you. Okay, and at this point, those 10 offers a day become a lot more realistic. It's kind of hard when you're level 0. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's hard getting started. The biggest benefit you get from level 0 to level 1, in my opinion, you get 3 extra gigs, but you also get to see so many more buyers requests. It opens the floodgates to you, right? And it's a massive thing. And the buyers requests are getting better. I mean, they are getting better. There's some crazy ones, do not get me wrong. People asking for the sun and the moon for little to nothing, but that's nothing new. Okay, but there's decent ones out there too. So it's one of those situations that I recommend that you do it, different times of the day. Cool thing about buyer's requests is that you can do it from your job. You can do it from your phone. You can get to buyer's requests from the app on your phone. I love that about the buyer's requests, at least, okay? So that's something that you can do, on your lunch break, sometimes where you have a break at work, if you're working during the day. You can do that throughout the day. You don't need to record something in order to do a buyer's request. At this point, the goal really is for you to be consistent and sending out those buyer's requests day in and day out. And the goal is to grow your business, get more work, and in turn, which Fiverr will then promote you more. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So listen, I think I've talked enough about that. What I would like you to do now, okay, is go ahead and post your questions, your comments, your thoughts in the chat. Also, if you feel so inclined, there's a little button down there called Super Chat. You can donate to the channel. It's always a blessing and appreciation so that we can keep this stuff going. I find that I love doing this, but the more and more I do, the more and more stuff I put out, it's a little bit harder to do other stuff. So trying to make sure I can keep going for you guys. So I appreciate it if you can. So go ahead and post your questions, comments in the chat right now. Let's go through them and see what we got. It's weird because my meter is not showing the amount of people, so I don't even know how many people are watching now. Sometimes it goes in and out. I use a program called Restream, and they're great. But sometimes the chat on Restream is odd, and it goes in and out, and I can't ever tell if, who's watching or who's not watching. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But all right, so let's go ahead and see what we got. We got Johnny from Facebook. What's up, my man? Good to have you. We got Walter. Hey, Walter. Good to have you, sir. We've got Aya Music. Hi, Anthony. Del. Oh, Del. Hey, Del. How are you? Happy Friday. We got Tom. What's up, Tom? We got Brad. Good to have you, Brad, the man. Judy. Hey, Judy. Good to have you. Love buyer's request. Absolutely. Peter Lazarus, my man, Peter. Good to have you, buddy. Let's see. Bonify Vio. Hey, from Toronto. Hi. Good to have you. Timely topic, as I was curious about this earlier today when I submitted my first offer and wasn't sure about how to price things and such. Awesome. Well, welcome so much from Toronto, and absolutely. That's the challenge with buyer's requests, right? Because sometimes people will put in their description, hey, it's a hard line on this price, and then other times people won't. And a lot of times, just like when they send us custom offers, they're just putting in a price because they don't even know. I think we assume because, we work so much, like it's always in the front of our mind because it's our business, that other people know as much as us about pricing and all these things. But we should never forget that there's a lot of people, especially who are coming to Fiverr and who are brand new, who have no idea about pricing. When they price something at $5, right, for a couple hundred words, and they think in their mind it's only going to take a couple minutes, to them that makes sense. If we're, if you make, like, think about it, if you made $20 an hour, okay, working out there, right, you make $20 an hour. All right, you break that down by 10-minute increments, right? What's $20 divided by what's 6, right? Or let's just do so what is that? 6, 12, 18, 3. So it's like $3. Is that right? About $3.30, or is $3.50? Okay, something like that. A little over $3 for every 10 minutes you work. Okay, so I know people get really angry about the pricing, and I understand it. And I want people, and I want their businesses to make money. But don't forget that people don't know what they don't know. So I don't think it just does us waste our time and our energy being angry over something. And someone might think, hey, if this is only 2 minutes long, $5 is a good price for that. They're going to make $5. It usually, some people only make, $10, $15 an hour, and they're going to make $5 in a couple minutes. You and I know the effort, the cost, the time, the training that goes into those minutes for the voiceover. We know that, but a lot of people don't. All right, and the same thing with other training and stuff that people do on the job. All I'm saying is, I'm not saying change your pricing model. I'm just saying that it always helps, in my opinion, at least my mom always taught me, to put myself in other people's shoes. Try to put yourself in other people's shoes and get an idea of what they're going through or what they're thinking, or at least try to understand, try to sympathize at least. Okay, with that situation. So at least you'll get a better understanding and be a lot less stressed out. Again, that doesn't mean you have to accept it. It just means maybe you understand it. Not everybody's out to get us. Okay, I know that wasn't part of the question, but I just went down there. Johnny says, hey, Les. Bill, what's up, Bill? Hello. Good to have you, my friend. Let's see. Bonify, yes, for sure. Always referring to their description in your offer. You have to relate and catch their interest. Absolutely. Voiceover Angela. Hello, Angela. Good to have you as always. Anthony Senna. That is a great name. Just top of the line name right there. Back for now. I'm an idiot. Back for another great Fiverr Friday. It's good to have you. Angela says, yeah, we all start in the same place. Absolutely. Johnny says, top quality advice is always AP. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate that, sir. JP Music. I was just looking at the time. It's got to be evening time over there at 6. Johnny's in the UK. Let's see. JB Music. Happy Fiverr Friday. What's up? I had a quick question about promoted gigs, as I was recently able to start using them. Do you know if stats from promoted gigs clicks are included in other analytics? Good question. So according to Fiverr, they are not. Those are separated. According to Fiverr, those are separated. I feel like as I get more work from promoted gigs, I seem to get more work the other way. Like even though and if you go and you can read the terms of service for the Fiverr promoted gigs, it says specifically, I believe, because I read them all, that they are separate from your other analytics. But I mean, I don't think it separates your account when it comes to the benefit you get from getting orders that I know of. I don't know if they're that good with the algorithm. They might be. So either way, I still think it affects your account if you're getting work. I mean, clearly you're making money, but you know what I mean? Like from the algorithm side. But according to Fiverr, no, they do not go over. The analytics are separated. Let's see. Johnny says, literally having that issue today. 17 requests not applicable for me. Yep. Bonify, I'm just starting as a two weeks ago. Wow. And lots of odd requests. Yeah. How often have you won a bid when you sent a much higher money offer? I'm guessing every request is generally lowballing to start. Well, we don't know that. We don't know that. Some people don't know what to offer. There are definitely people out there lowballing it as much as possible, trying to get as cheap as work as they can. Of course there are, but those people are in every industry everywhere. But there's people out there who don't know what to do as well. And I always think that if you if you come up with what you believe in, like let's say that you don't want to do, you decide I'm going to charge $100 for, 25 words. That's great. That is your prerogative. All right. And you should do it. But that doesn't mean you should back down. Of course, I'm using an extreme example, but it doesn't mean you should back down from doing, buyer's requests or things like that just because, they put down some number that doesn't reach your standards, right? You should put it down anyways. I mean, your number, not theirs, and submit it. Or you could put down your number and say, hey, look, I'm flexible because you're trying to get work. Let's not forget, if you are getting work at your prices, buyer's request might not be the place you need to go. But if you're trying to drum up work, buyer's request is a great place to go. And you should be ready and when I say should, that's up to you always. It's your business. But I like to think it's a place that you can go to try to negotiate in order to get work. Do you know what I'm saying? We have to do what we have to do. I'll never forget my grandfather he started a couple businesses, just different businesses. He was one of those people from the Depression era, that just made things work. And I'll never forget, whenever he would start a business, my dog barking in the background, sorry, he would always give away stuff at first, right? He'd always give away stuff for free at first to build those relationships with the community or prove that he had a good product, right? I mean, we all have to prove that we've got a good product. So, part of that is having to do, these kinds of things on buyer's requests or lowball offers, I think a lot of times, because as you build your business, your prices are going to go up and you're not going to have an issue. But yeah, I hope that answers, the question. It was how often have you won a bid when you sent a much higher offer? So a lot of times when I send a higher offer, they contact me back and we will negotiate. Okay, because don't forget, they're going to look at your stuff too. And they're going to listen to your stuff. That's another thing too, remember, you're not just doing it for right now. You're doing this for down the road. I love the quote from Brent Hagel, who was on a VO's Journey podcast. Oh my gosh, by the way, I got some amazing, well, anyway, let me finish that thought. But I was going to tell you, I've got right after this show, I'm interviewing an amazing person as well for the podcast. But Brent Hagel was saying that, if nobody knows you are out there, no one's going to hire you. Right? If nobody knows you're there, how can anyone hire you? So the whole point is that you're also trying to get exposure. This whole thing is about exposure. And also, one of the hardest things for us as voice actors, let's be honest, as voice actors, online businesses, is finding the people in that moment in time who need a voiceover. That is our number one challenge. Okay, yeah, equipment, space, that stuff we can do on our own. But finding people at that particular moment in time that need a voiceover, that's the big challenge, right? So these are places right now. I mean, these are people right now in one place that you have access to that need voiceovers. Okay, even if it's not you. So it's a great place to even get exposure. Do you see what I mean? That's why I think it's so important. Not everybody allows you to do this kinds of stuff. And that's why I think, I like this place as well, because you get 10, they're quick, they're easy. All right. I always thought it was Fiverr's response to Upwork, just like Upwork tried to have a response to the gigs. By the way, on a side note, I know we're getting off topic. Upwork is, I'm starting to get lots of people telling me that they're getting work through the gigs on Upwork. So that's kind of pretty cool. So if if you're not on Upwork, you need to get over there, put up they call them projects, but they're really gigs. It kind of, ripped it off from Fiverr, honestly. It looks exactly like Fiverr stuff. But people are starting to get it. People are starting to get jobs. I've heard multiple people contact me, tell me they've getting work from Upwork and the projects or the gigs. So anyways, going back to what I said, then I'll get back to the questions. Today we're going, and my goodness, I apologize. I think I'm going to get the name. It's David Cicerelli. I think that's his name. Last time I called him Ciccarelli. I don't think it's Ciccarelli. I think it's Cicerelli. It sounds Italian. And I'm excited. He is the CEO of Voices.com, and I am thrilled. I've been waiting to interview him, and we're doing that later on today. So that podcast should be out later on tonight. So I am absolutely thrilled to talk to him. I just wanted to relay that information to you guys because it popped into my head. So much stuff going on. Let's see. Okay, so we talked that. Okay. Judy says, Johnny, add it to Zach, you are the man. Thank you so much for that super chat, that $5 donation. Thank you. I really appreciate that. If anybody else wants to do that, there's a little money sign in the bottom, I think, of the chat if you're on YouTube. I really appreciate that. It really helps a lot. Thank you, guys. Let's see. And also, hit that subscribe button. Subscribe, please. Trying to grow the subs there. Let's see. Judy said, Johnny, add... I know I may not be what you need right now, but I would like to be considered in the future. Johnny. Add. I know. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Judy. I had to go back up and look at what was going on. Okay, so Johnny says, replying to Judy. Judy, always normally do that about 10:30 at night if I have any requests left. Tangy Green says 6. Yep. Fly here, Eric. What's up, Eric? Great to see you too, sir. Thank you for being here. Facebook says 7 watching on Facebook. Thanks for Fiverr Fridays. Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thanks for the update. Mark says, hey, Mark, where can I get music to use for my demo, or should I not use any? Yeah, Mark, I have 3 particular places that I use, and there's probably more. The free place that I use is from YouTube. If you have a Gmail account or a Google account, you start a channel on YouTube. It's free. And once you start a channel on YouTube, once you go into your studio, which you can get to by going to the upper right-hand corner, there'll be the thumbnail or the icon of your face or whatever you've uploaded. It might be a question mark if you didn't upload anything. And you click on that, and there'll be a drop down, and there'll be an option in there that says YouTube Studio. That's your studio, your channel studio. You go in there, and on the left side of the page, if you're looking at the left side, there's a ribbon that goes from top to bottom. On the bottom of that ribbon, all right, it says music or free music or your music or something like music and effects. You can click on that, and there's all types of free music that you can download from free and effects from YouTube. It's completely free. The paid ones that I use Storyblocks, but you can just pay for Audio Blocks, which is a part of Storyblocks, but Storyblocks has audio, video, and images, but I use Audio Blocks as well, and then I use Envato Elements, ENVAT, Envato TO Elements, and that's another great, that they have a lot of great stuff too. Both of those are paid for, but it's Audio Blocks and Envato Elements. So yeah, I use those, the paid ones, but then YouTube is free. Okay. Good question. Let's see. Judy says, I am running a special for new customers. Absolutely. And then, okay. Oh, and your other question was, should you use any? Listen, I don't, nowadays, I'm going to be open and honest with you. I used to, when there wasn't a lot of people on there, yeah, you could put stuff up there. And if you don't have mixing right now and you can't afford to get a demo, do you know what I mean? And you're still learning to put them together, but you want to put your services up, you can. But like I always say, you're going to get the business that is going to match up with where you are right now. So you need to make no mistake. We've got to get good at editing, mastering audio, recording audio, adding music, adding effects, doing video, making MP4s. Part of something that I was speaking to Andrew, who's my production person for VO's Journey, this morning, was we were talking about starting to do videos for people who are doing demos and offering video services, because so many people are not having videos, and I'm starting to put together a lot of videos. I've been starting to do these sample trailer and promo spots. Thank you for that idea, Brent. And I'm having a blast and doing a lot of work with video and doing more so. And I realize that a lot of people don't have video, and the video is so important. So what I'm getting at is that, you don't have to have music, but, you're competing. If you're going to go head to head with people and you want to try to get business, you got to think that you're going to be going head to head with people who know how to do this stuff. Now, I'm not saying that means you don't just quit. I'm saying that do what you do, go with what you have right now. Absolutely. Get it out there. But just know that your job is to get better and better and better and keep improving and keep improving. And the more you improve, the better business you're going to get. Okay? Again, thank you so much, Zach, my man. Let's see. Eric says, I have a revision request on a long form narration. As expected, this is showing as late now. Does that go against my delivery stats? Okay, so make sure that you always respond when someone puts in a request for a revision. That's not publicly shown on Fiverr, but that is a metric that Fiverr uses for their algorithm. So if someone puts one of your jobs or your gigs into revision, make sure you respond just like you would try to respond within an hour that someone messages you, okay? Or you try to respond within an hour that someone purchases something from you. Okay, so, but the late tab doesn't usually, I've never seen it affects my stats unless unless it's on there really long. But yeah, it doesn't usually affect your stats when it's in revision. Okay, Johnny says, replying to Judy, favorite, I have a short 1,600 word script, which I need 2 hours. I will need 4 revisions. I will pay you $5. Whew, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of words. I just made 50 for 465 words, and I got a tip on that, so that's cool. Sherry says, it's been a while. Hey, Sherry, good to have you. A lot going on getting back to the office and my day job. Eventually, it will click. I always appreciate your videos and all the words of support. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Sherry. I really appreciate that. Johnny says, replying to Hey, Chuck, thank you so much. So as I scroll down, I see the chat. So thank you so much, Chuck, for that donation. I really appreciate it. Means the world. Thank you so much, Chuck. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. All right, let's see. Dale says, as a level 0 seller, what would you recommend for revisions? First one free or charge for revisions, except in the cases where you make a mistake. I love this, Dale. I go back and forth, because I always try to make sure I give people advice that I'm actually doing. But I do have to step back and always realize, too, I'm at a different place with my Fiverr account, with my business, than some other people are. So, I got to always go back and listen and think about what I did when I was first starting out. This is my recommendation about revisions. I think it is a great idea to offer one free revision. And the reason why is because I get asked it quite often. Do you offer a free revision? Or what is your revision policy? I get asked that quite a bit. Because anybody who has bought voiceovers online or anything online that is a service knows that, listen, we're trying to do everything online without even talking to each other or getting direction effectively. So most likely there's going to be revisions. So it's always nice that you give that little incentive to have a free revision. But I do want to give you a caveat, and this is what I want you to do. I want you to make sure that you set an expectation for the words that you are actually giving out. Does that make sense? So like if you're saying I'm going to offer free revision, make sure, every one of my revisions are 50 words. Okay, so that one free revision is 50 words, and then every revision after that is $5 for 50 words or $10, whatever you charge. Okay, but I always make sure I set an expectation for the words. I see this the most often. People don't actually have an expectation for the words, like how many words a revision is, and they always get, there's always an argument or there's always something, I don't want to pay for that, or you know what I mean? Because you're like, whoa, this is a lot of extra work they're asking for and they don't want to pay for it. So that's why I set that expectation. Offer free revision, that's great, but just make sure you have the amount of words that you offer and then what you offer subsequently afterwards, okay? Good question. Let's see. Charles says, thanks for Fiverr Fridays, Anthony. One thing I will stop my grind for on Fridays. Thank you. Appreciate what you do for all of us, dude. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate what you all do for me. Thank you. I was telling this to someone else the other day. I really do view myself as an extrovert. I do like to talk to people, be around people. One of the craziest things, and I don't speak about this at all, but one of the craziest things for me that I never expected, because if you follow my podcast or whatever, you know that I went through that whole time to become a full-time voice actor. And then when I left my job and I came home, I never considered what it would feel like to be home all day by myself. Just every single day at home, no one here. It's wonderful. I love it now, but it's been, it is very awkward. And then over this last year with COVID, my family, because my kids were home because they weren't, school was virtual, and my wife was home. She was still working from home, but she was working from home and not going to work because of pre-existing conditions and things like that. So like I had my whole family here for like the year. Well, now they've all kind of gone back to work in school, and I'm kind of like, it's alone again. So you all keep me from going crazy, and I appreciate you all so much. So thank you for everything that you guys do and supporting me. Thank you. Let's see. Anthony Senna says, hey, Anthony, I got a snarky answer from a buyer request that I didn't match. I answered him politely, but I was curious, how would you reply to someone like this? Anthony, you did absolutely the right thing. I pretty much draw a hard line in the sand. I always make sure that anything that you put out in the public eye online, it's a response to someone, anything, you just make sure you realize that is out there, even if it's a response to one person. I always am polite. Even if they're now, so I will say that there has been times where it has been really hard, and there might have been times where I felt my responses were a little snappy, like I'm sorry, that I can't work with you, or I draw like I'm like, no, I won't move forward on this project because I don't appreciate the way you're treating me. Like I'm not saying that we want to take abuse from people or be bullied. But what I'm saying is if that happens, do you guys have you ever watched those Hotel Impossible or any of those shows where they go and they do like remakes for businesses, small businesses or whatever? And one of the biggest things they always show is like reviews, and then people leaving, like the owners leaving, snarky comments to people's bad reviews. And it always looks 10 times worse for the owner when they leave a snarky comment than it is when they leave a positive comment, right? Because then you got to think, we all know that no matter what happens in the end, people are going to have somebody might work with you and they might not get exactly what they want out of no fault of yours or theirs. It is what it is. Sometimes it's going to happen, right? We know that. But how we respond to it, everybody is going to look at that and they're going to say, oh, well, what if I have a bad experience? Is this what I can expect? It doesn't seem like they really like customers, or they might not like you have to think about that. So, one, don't be bullied. Don't take, being bullied and pushed around like that, like if they're being really mean and rude to you. But at the same time, make sure your responses stay, kind and to the point. And there's no need to, and this is hard, I know. It's so hard, and I don't always succeed at it either. But we should try to take the emotion out of people being emotional with us. All right. I had a perfect example the other day. Someone was, and it was interesting. Well, I won't tell the whole story, but they basically were asking for more for less. Okay. And didn't want to pay my prices. And I said that's perfectly okay. I understand. Right now, I'm not accepting any work underneath my prices. And they proceed to say, "You're not professional. I don't work with professionals. You'd think you would be able to do this. Blah blah. All these things." And I thought, I wish you the best, and I block them. So that's another thing that you can do too. You can block people. On Fiverr allows you to do that. And I think it's a really great thing that Fiverr allows you to do, because there are people out there who will try to bully you, and just block them. Okay. But in the end, please remember that your response could possibly be taken or used or seen by many other people. And it's just always a good thing to, respond in kind and then leave it as it is. You know what I mean? Hey, I'm sorry, I can't help you right now. I wish you the best. I mean, you don't need to waste any more of your time. If you think about it that way, don't waste your time. I know it's hard. I'll move on. But that happens a lot to all of us, so it's a really good question. Greg says, Pika to the rescue as usual. Thank you, Greg. Bill says, when you first started doing VO nights, weekends, and worked full-time day job, how did you deal with clients asking to talk with you during normal business hours? How did you find the time after order is placed? Bill, this is wonderful question from you. It is one of the things that was the biggest struggle. And I lost a lot of work during the working hours of like in the U.S., from 9 to 5 or 8 to 4. I lost a lot of work because I couldn't work with people. I had to use quick responses and just let them know I'm at work. I'll be able to take care of this later on tonight. Do you know what I mean? Like, I lost a lot. And I will say, when I left my job, I actually saw an increase in business because I could do work during the day. I could respond to people. I could work during the day if they needed me. I could, you know what I mean? Like, but at your job, it's one of those things where it's like, we have to do what we got to do. It's tough. You know what I mean? Now, I will admit that the one thing I did do is I didn't care. And this is bad. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I didn't care is the wrong word to say. I was trying to build a business, so I might have overused my phone at my previous job, especially towards the end, because we run our whole business. When we're away from our computer, we run our whole business with this phone. So I was on my phone a lot, dealing with customers, and that was a challenge. But at that time, I knew I was leaving. But it's hard, so I lost a lot of business, absolutely. Especially the business I couldn't do quickly. There's people always willing to pay you more money to do it quickly. So yeah, no, it's tough. So my recommendation is you got to make a decision, to what your goal is. Some of this stuff some of these answers are hard, and because, I don't want to say to you, screw your job, don't do what you're supposed to do. Well, that's not right. That's not fair to the people who are hiring you and your work too. And that's not the kind of people we are. But at the same time, we're trying to build something too. So there's got to be something has to give somewhere. And in the end, your choices that you make determine where you end up. That's the reality of all of this. And, there's consequences, of course, as well. So you have to weigh those. I weighed mine, and I got to a point where I was so determined that, I did the best I could to work, and I worked very hard at my other job. But, it was getting to a point where I was losing more money being at my day job than I was not being there. I could have made more money if I was home. So, I made some decisions, and I live with them, but I was leaving. So again, they're just, it's hard decisions to make. So in the end, stick to what you're doing, have your goal and go for it. But yeah, that's a hard question, man. That's hard. It is. It's hard. It's not easy. That's why I worked at 2 or 3 every morning. You know what I mean? For a couple of years, because I couldn't I couldn't do anything during the day. And it sucked. Do not get me wrong, you guys. It sucked. There was nothing exciting about it all the time. It was not this great excitement. I always think it's funny. Well, it's not funny, but it's always easy for people to like for me to say, yeah, I did all this stuff back then. I worked really hard. I put my nose to the grindstone. It sounds so like epic and exciting, but it was not exciting at all. Was it? Right? I mean, let's be honest. It's not glamorous staying up to 2 or 3 every morning, putting up an entire, booth and taking it down every single night. All right, getting clients messaging you, telling you suck because you don't know what you're doing, and you're gonna keep going, wondering if your audio sucks, you don't have equipment, your family doesn't want to tell anybody you're doing voiceover. I mean, you go through a lot of stuff. We go through a lot of crap to build our businesses. Okay, but in the end, we're the ones who step out on a limb, and when we succeed, and you will, don't give up. It's worth it. I promise you. It is worth it. That's my little pedestal. For the day. All right, let me move on. Judy, I cut deals and my customers keep coming back, so slowly growing. Absolutely. That's great. Dale says, let me rephrase. As a level 0 seller, what would you recommend for revisions in your gig? Free for the first one or charge a client? Hopefully I answered that for you. Chuck says, thanks, Anthony. Absolutely, Chuck. Johnny says, Upwork is much more successful for me than Fiverr. And, a lot of people find Upwork successful for them as well. And that's why I say be on all of the platforms, right? Don't be on just one, be on all of them. It's probably, and I'm going to say this, and this is true. There is probably less than 1% of people on Fiverr or Upwork or any of these platforms that are making a massive full-time living. Now, of course, it varies because I don't know what everybody's what your expenses are compared to someone else's expenses, right? But that's why I love multiple streams of income working on multiple platforms. In my opinion right now, Fiverr is just killing it in every single direction, of course. So there's a lot more money to go around for a lot more people. But that is the truth. It's the truth. So make sure you're on Upwork just like you are on Fiverr, just like you're on ACX or Voquin, Ahab Talent, all these different places, People Per Hour, Voices.com, wherever. Doesn't matter where it is. Be on it. Judy says, I have only been scammed on Upworks. Oh, okay. I think there's scams going, at least for me. I've seen them everywhere. Facebook user, spot on advice. Thank you. Exactly how I've been getting my biz as a Fiverr newbie since mid-February, 24 jobs. Wow, that's great. I've hit all of my no-level metrics except $400, currently at $350. Oh, you're so close. And I now have 3 repeat buyers. I've gotten them to agree a slight increases based on their 5-star reviews. These jobs are still far away from the gig process because I want to get to work and build my metrics ASAP before I get to level 0. I will offer a discount to them, but I want to let them know that my level has changed and thus prices will increase too. Any other price increase ideas? Thank you. Hey, no, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely right. I do recommend that you go up in $5 increments. Don't go up like $10 or $15 or $20. Of course, again, when I say don't, I'm always hesitant to say that. My recommendation, like you asked for, my idea is to go up by $5 increments because you're going to, every time you go up, you have repeat clients, right? When it's time for you to raise your prices, you usually raise your prices. You have repeat clients. You've got business coming in, and it's time to raise them. You've got X amount of reviews. You're so busy, supply and demand issue. You got to raise prices. But just remember that you have clients that are with you at a certain price level. And if you're willing to lose them, that's fine. But if you're not willing to lose them too, think about that too. You might even want to notify them. That was a tip from Red Horrocks, who is, a top rated seller on Fiverr and is probably the 1% of the 1% on Fiverr. So, that's an interview that I did on the podcast too a while ago as well. So, she always says, she said that every time she raises her prices or she thinks about it, she always contacts her repeat buyers. You know what I mean? So good deal. So that's what I recommend to you. Raise by $5 increments. Now, I personally only ever raise my price for two reasons. One, I'm so busy that I just can't handle anymore. So it's time that I feel like it's time for me to raise my prices. Or two, I'm so busy with other stuff that I raise my prices to slow down a little bit. But it seems like every time I raise my prices, I don't slow down personally now. But when I first started, that first jump from $5 to $10, it was scary to me because I thought I was going to lose business. And a couple times I would do like $20 and I would lose all my business and I had to go back. I tried a lot of junk that failed all the time, which is why I say I step on stuff so you don't have to. So just do $5 increments. Bonify says, yup, David, the CEO of Voices is pronounced Cicerelli. Thank you. They're Canadian too, from London, Ontario, or a couple hours from me. Awesome. I did know that they're from Canada. Chuck says last two jobs were from buyer request, keeping the wheels turning. Nice. Voiceover Angela says it's audio library for YouTube. Thank you so much, Angela. Audio library. I always forget that. Let's see. Mark says thanks for being retired, watching my funds. Jay says, what would be the ideal average selling price? Should we aim for a certain number, like 3 times, 4 times, 5 times the starting gig price? What would be the ideal now, I think to hit a critical mass point on Fiverr, you want to try to get your average sales price above $60 an order. Okay. But let's be honest, most of us just starting out, you might be $10, $15, $20 is your average selling price. But the goal should be to get that up to above $60 an hour, because as Fiverr grows and there's more top rated sellers, you focus the only time, and this is my advice to you, because I remember the only time you really need to focus on your average selling price, in my personal opinion, is when you've hit all of your requirements, you've made that $20,000, you've done all the requirements you need, you've been on Fiverr for 180 days, and you are ready to be accepted or looked at for top rated seller. What I recommend you do then is you need to worry about your average selling price. Don't worry about your average selling price until then, because if you just, because if you worry about your average selling price until you're ready for top rated seller, that means you're going to be less likely to make deals, do things that you need to get you work in order to get you to that place. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's the name of the game, is just to keep work coming in. I made a deal with myself early on that I was going to be the guy who at least was always working. Even if it was not the best paying jobs, I was always going to be working. I was never going to be that person that I thought I was sitting around twiddling my thumbs. I didn't want to be someone like that. I wanted to just do work no matter what. I wanted to be working. So I accepted a lot of things at a lower prices when I first started. Now I don't accept anything, but that's so much different, because I'm in a different place. And that's the whole idea. So don't worry about your average selling price just starting out. But when you become level 2 and you are met all your requirements for top rated seller, you really need to focus on getting it above $60. Because like I was saying, the more top rated sellers come in, the higher that average selling price is going to be, because Fiverr promotes top rated sellers, as we see. So you want to make sure that Fiverr is going to look at people who have an higher average selling price, because they're bringing in more money for Fiverr. Do you know what I mean? Don't ever forget, this is all about money for Fiverr as well. These are businesses. I mean, yes, we're all about helping each other, but in the end, we also have to pay the bills, right? So don't forget that. So I say worry about it when you're top rated seller, or when you're trying to get top rated seller. Okay, let's see. Bonify says Purple Planet is another good free royalty free music site. Thank you. Cool. Purple Planet. Let's check it out. Famicom Mike, what's up? Music demo music is like the makeup to good voice demo. I always use that analogy, right, about acting on the stage. And I used to tell my actors this too, right? I mean, nothing replaces, and I do want to be clear about this, nothing can make bad acting look good. Okay? Nothing can make bad acting look good. Nothing replaces good acting. But I always think like acting's like a cake, and all the bells and whistles on top is like the icing. We don't like cake without the icing. Okay? But if we have and we'll even eat the icing without the cake. But the reality is, if the cake sucks, we won't eat the icing. I mean, we might eat the icing off the cake. You get the point. All right. So that's all I say, and I always say too, as actors, on a stage, you don't have to have a costume. You don't have to have lights. You don't have to have makeup. You don't have to have a set to do a show, and people could possibly watch it. But if you add great acting with a costume and lights and an incredible set and music and all this stuff, then it becomes Broadway. Right? Okay. So let's see. Thanks so much for doing more interviews. Oh, thank you. It's been great to hear multiple perspectives as the industry continues to grow and evolve. Wishing everyone a joyful Fiverr Friday. Hey, thank you for bringing that up. And by the way, if you know some people, I'm embarrassed to say, but I'm going to say this to you. And I've said this to a couple people just because I feel like I've been too busy working. I don't. Let me just ask a question. If you have anybody that you'd like me to interview as well, you know what I mean? You have a name or two. Don't be afraid to put it in the chat for some people that you know that you thought would be a cool person to interview. I'll reach out to them. So let's see. Dale says, good point. You don't want to offer free revision and then have redo 300. Yes, exactly. Donnie Barnes, what's up? It's great to have you, sir. Good stuff. I offer a free revision up to 300 words and try to do a short style sample for pre-approval on orders longer than that. That way the client has approved the style for longer scripts. Absolutely. Oh, I love that. And Donnie, I want to do a shout out to you. Thank you for being here, Donnie, and his dad, Don Barnes, two incredible people in the voiceover industry. Thank you guys. They were helping out in Avio's journey this Wednesday and coming back this Saturday to lead some sessions. So it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here, Donnie. Let's see. DB Balata. Love the channel. Copyright question for you. Do I need to charge full broadcast rights for someone using my audio on stream, Twitch or YouTube, when they collect AdSense money on? So what a great question. And that is one of those things that I think is not addressed when we don't license, like when we do buyouts. Right? Because in that kind of thing, you could see where licensing can come in handy in these types of situations, right? Where they have to pay you for time or amount of money, right? But I would say that in my personal opinion, if they are directly, so as the wording goes, if they buy like a broadcasting ad, right? Like somewhere where they're buying an ad, you know what I mean? Then that's where they do broadcasting. But I would no doubt charge them commercial rights, and let them know that you believe you should be broadcast rights, but you can also be negotiate with them. That's a tough one. No, it's up to you. You could draw a line in the sand and say, no, this is what I do for this. And you can make that a part of what you do too, and say, hey, put that in the FAQs as something that people can be certain of. Does that make sense? But that's a good question. And I bet that's going to be happening a lot more and more with everything that we're doing and collecting money like that. Creative Lady Productions. I love that name. Hi from Chattanooga. Hello, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Jonathan, what's up? Always such great advice. May 1, I had in my notice at the day job. Oh my goodness, congratulations. That is awesome. That is awesome, man. I'm so proud of you because I know what you do, and that is cool. Good for you. That is awesome. Awesome. Handed, I figured that's what you meant. All right, we're coming down to the end here. Let's see. Christian says, I get quite a few from here. Chelsea Bradley voiceover. Gabrielle Nistico would be such an interesting... that's true. That's true. Well, I do have another person coming on that I'm excited about. I'm not going to release their name yet, but I will release their name probably soon. But Gabby would definitely be interesting if she would come on. That would be interesting. I should reach out to her. I know that she's been a big advocate too for some things. So I'm all about reaching out, and that would be cool. That's a good one. That is a good one. That would be interesting. Okay. Let's see. Charles says, I was wondering, to raise my average selling price, would it be okay to ask a few repeat customers to attack a few scripts into one order to make it attach a few? So for instance, one $300 offer, then five $60 offers. Sure. Yeah, you could do that too. Absolutely. The sound of my voice. Hey, bud, thanks for all of the info. Started VO with Fiverr, 125.20. I'm at 2,000 for the month of March. Wow, with your help. That's fantastic. Congratulations. That's great. Absolutely great. Famicom Mike says Bill DeWeese. Yeah, there is already a Bill DeWeese interview that I've done in the past on the podcast, but I did Brent too, and I brought Brent back. It's been a while. Maybe it's been almost 2 years since, maybe not 2 years. I don't know if it was last year. It wasn't last year. Was it 2019 that I interviewed Bill? I'll have to take a look. Chelsea says, waiting patiently. Chelsea, did I miss something? Oh, waiting patiently about Gabrielle. Yeah. Richard, what's up? Nancy, oh my God. Nancy, what? Yeah. The reason why I'm laughing is because I know their personal opinions about, like Fiverr and stuff like that. So it would be really cool and an honor to interview them, because I look up to them, and, I think it would be really cool if they would agree to it. That would be neat. I definitely will reach out to them. I'm a big fan of Nancy and her coaching. And Gabrielle, I started watching her videos when I first started in voiceover. So I'm a big fan of theirs, and hopefully it would be cool. I'll definitely reach out to them. Let's see. Mel, hey man, thanks for the great advice. Question, would you recommend becoming pro verified? Ooh, that's a good question. So here's the thing. I've had some people who became pro verified and they loved it. Then I've had other people who became pro verified and hated it and actually left the program. So I would just mention that pro verified is a lot more intense, like when it comes to dealing with Fiverr. There's a specific, department that deals with pro verified, and they are very hands-on. Like when you put up a gig, you have to get approved by that department, and they're very hands-on about what they need, what you should what you're doing. So, it really is up to you. Like I'll never do pro verified because I like what I'm doing right now, and I make more money than a lot of pro verified people too. But it's really one of those situations where it's really totally up to you. Yeah. The sound of my voice. Thanks, man. I'm loving it. Richard, do it. Absolutely. Well, hey, listen, you guys. Thank you guys so much. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Subscribe. Hit the like button. But thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate that. Also, if you're interested, check out VO's Journey. That is a weekly meeting where we all get together and help each other grow our businesses. We got guest speakers, like I was just talking about, Don and Donnie Barnes. We also have Brent Hagel, who's on the podcast, who's going to be coming next week doing some promo stuff, which I'm really excited, and trailer stuff about that. And just more down the road. So thank you guys so much. There'll be a link below. Other than that, subscribe. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Goodbye.